Hi friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and my friend Gala and I are here today to talk to you about some really great books that we think you might enjoy. Now, like I said last week, this whole month we're going to be focusing on books that have been banned because the very end of September is Banned Books Week, which is just such an important thing to celebrate and acknowledge because it really just encompasses the freedom to read whatever you want and that you have the right to do that. So banned books are books that have been, at one point or another, pulled from libraries or schools because someone didn't approve of the content. Many different books have been banned for many different reasons, and we're going to talk about a few of them today. So, the first one is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Now, this is a book that I first read when I was in high school, and a lot of it went right over my head. I'll be completely honest. I liked it, but I didn't really get some of the deeper themes and meanings until I just reread it actually a few years ago. And I cried throughout the whole thing because this book is just so heartbreaking and beautiful. It's an absolutely amazing book. If you haven't read it, it takes place in Alabama, and it's about this courtroom trial which almost tears this town apart, basically. And the story is told from the point of view of a young girl named Scout. So you're experiencing this whole thing through her eyes and her experiences. It's a book about cruelty and hate, but it's also a book about compassion and kindness and love. And it's just, this book is absolutely amazing. If you haven't read it, or even if you've read it but it's been a really long time, like I said, you haven't read it since high school or whatever, I would absolutely recommend picking this book up and rereading it, because reading it as an adult is such a different experience than reading it as a younger person. So that is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And the reason why it was banned, this is probably one of the most banned books since it came out in the 60s. And that is because there is talk about a rape in it, there's profanity, and there are racial slurs. But the meaning and the messages that take place in this book are just so overwhelmingly amazing that everybody should read this book at least once, and definitely as an adult. So, the next book is Beloved by Toni Morrison. Beloved. I would recommend really reading anything by Toni Morrison because she was just an icon. Absolutely amazing author. And this is about a woman named Sethi who was born into slavery. Now, she's been free for a good many years. However, her past still haunts her. And the things that happened when she was a slave, the trauma that she experienced, it still lingers. And where she's living now is, her home is actually haunted by the spirit of her dead baby, who was born and then died without even having a name. And on the tombstone of this baby is just one word: beloved, hence the title. As you can probably understand, this book is absolutely so heartbreaking. It's a very sad book, but it's also a very important book because it's a human book. And it's about trauma and overcoming that, and how horrible slavery was, and all the things that happened from that are just abominable. And it's told from the point of view of this young woman, and just experiencing this through her is just, it's I can't even describe it. It's absolutely incredible. Like I said, very, very sad, but riveting, moving, and it's something everybody should read. It is a classic. If you're going to read one book by Toni Morrison, I would say read all of them. But if you're only going to read one, this is probably the best one. And it was banned because it was too graphic. As you can imagine, depictions of slavery, depictions of rape and things like that they're very graphic. But they're things that happened, and there's no real good reason to hide from that. We can't move forward unless we understand the past, right? This book, Beloved, absolutely incredible. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And I saved my favorite of the group today for last, as I usually do. And this is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, who is one of the best authors ever, in my opinion. So this book is speculative fiction or you could say science fiction. And it takes place in the future where reading any book is against the law. Books are burned in this world. And it's a future world, actually, of the U.S. This is not set in space or some other universe. This is here in the future. And owning books is a crime. And the firefighters in this book, the firemen, don't put out fires. They start them because they burn books. Ooh, that makes me get a chill every time I think about it. And the reason why this book was banned, which is actually hilarious, because the fact that this book was banned at all is hilarious, because it's a book about censorship and how dangerous that can be. Because once it starts at one thing, what's the next thing that gets censored? And the next, and the next, and the next, and then finally you don't have any books. But this was censored because one of the books that was burned in this story is the Bible. And that was offensive. Not the fact that this book, that they were burning books at all, but that the Bible was burned. That was what they were upset about. So this book has been banned many, many times throughout the years. And it's one of my favorite books. It was, again, another book I had to read in high school. And I didn't really grasp a lot of what was going on until I read it later and just absolutely fell in love with it. And I'd like to read this edition that I have. Actually has a introduction by another famous and favorite author of mine, Neil Gaiman. I'd just like to read just the first beginning part of this. Sometimes writers write about a world that does not yet exist. We do it for 100 reasons. Because it's good to look forward, not back. Because we need to illuminate a path we hope or we fear humanity will take. Because the world of the future seems more enticing or more interesting than the world of today. Because we need to warn you, to encourage, to examine, and to imagine. The reasons for writing about the day after tomorrow and all the tomorrows that follow it are as many and as varied as the people writing. This is a book of warning. It is a reminder that what we have is valuable and that sometimes we take what we value for granted. Whew, that's powerful, isn't it? This whole book is powerful. It's absolutely amazing, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Again, that's Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Well, friends, that's what I have for you today. I hope that these books sound really interesting and engaging to you. If you do like them and you want to pick them up, please feel free to come to the library and get them. They are available at the Farmington Community Library. You can pick them up during our curbside service hours or come into the building and get them during our grab-and-go hours as well. Thank you so, so much, my friends, and I hope you have a great week.